The German Emperor Michael Kaiser versus the Japanese prodigy Sai Itoshi. These two, in addition to Don Lorenzo, mark the pinnacle of U20 football that we've seen so far, with only few players on the consideration list. And with Kaiser recently receiving an offer from Real, you already know I'm on it, and it's about to go down. Now, since each of these monsters play for a different position, we are going to look at their stats, abilities and explore their best feats to determine who is the overall better player, and not who would come on top in a 1v1 situation like we usually do. Before we carry on, however, if you enjoy this type of videos, please consider subscribing and joining my community Discord server for more amazing BLUELOCK theories and reviews. And now without any further ado, on with the video. Sai Itoshi, the prodigy of Japan and the older brother of Rin Itoshi. A well-rounded player with an amazing physicality and a broken set of skills to go along with it. Having an innate talent for football, but also a strong love for the sport that pushes him to strive for nothing but to be the absolute best, ever since he was a kid. And speaking of kid Sai, him and Rin dominated their little league, and Sai became well known throughout the country as a growing talent, a young prodigy of sorts. And it didn't take long for him to get scouted by Real, the best club in the world of BLUELOCK, which is an insane of a feat honestly. But also this transfer to Spain played a huge role in Sai's ego maturity. But more importantly for our matchup, after 4 years, Sai returned with a weary look on his face and gave up on the dream he shared with his brother Ren of becoming the best strikers in the world. Rather, Sai now wants to be the best midfielder there is. Before we carry on with this story that will play a huge role in our assessment, as usual, we are going to first talk about his physical stats. Sai boasts a great well-rounded physicality, and while it was never directly stated, we can derive this from the fact that narratively speaking, he has similar physicality to that of his brothers. But also in the U20 game, we clearly saw how they were really evenly matched, physically speaking. And well, this means that Sai has a great raw power and strength, definitely not insane like Baro and Kunigami, but very high. And in the same vein, his speed is amazing, and falls short only to speedsters like Chigiri and Yuki. Also from Ren, we can derive that he has a great jumping ability, which in the U20 game we've seen him do an impressive jump to snatch a high ball that was headed towards Nagi and switch it to a quick counter. And finally, let's talk endurance, which is his most ambiguous stat, as he wasn't really trying in the U20 game and we have no clue how he would fare a whole game when really trying. But with this, we finish with his stats, and it's time for the interesting stuff, his abilities and weapons. Since Sai is a midfielder, let's start by stating the obvious. Sai has the best passing ability we have seen so far, even among the pros, as all of them are strikers. And for Sai, he was performing passes on a level that we have never seen before. Seriously, saying he was on another level is an understatement. And even after the U20 game, no one is comparable. The only players even on the consideration list are Hiyori and Ness. However, at this point, it's like comparing two babies against a hydrogen bomb. Now, what makes Sai's passes the deadliest is actually pretty simple: his accuracy. In the second half, we have seen how after realizing that Chigiri is pressing Shido, he delivered a pass to a point just barely outside of Chigiri's reach, and at the same time within Shido's imagination, so he can perform his direct shot. Not only was this pass super accurate, it also was at the right speed and power, because Shido was not facing Sai and turned based on his instincts, which were completely matched by Sai. But accuracy is not the only thing Sai has. One of the most impressive things for me were how he completely understood the U20 strikers, from Sendo, the mannequin guy, to Shido, especially with Sendo, where he started giving him passes that help him as a striker, and even then he still was shit. No wonder Sai gave up on them had it not been for Shido. Alright, even though his passes are insane and definitely world class, there's still more to Sai. In the same vein as his super accurate passes, Sai boasts an insanely accurate shooting ability. To explore this weapon fully, we have to take things back to Ren. As I explained before, Ren's shooting ability is the most accurate in BLUELOCK, with very few players coming close. Not only are his shots very accurate, he also presents an insane versatility and shooting control. And this shooting ability is one of the reasons Ren is the dominant player that he is. But in the U20 game, the writer made it clear, Sai boasts an even better shooting ability than that of Ren's, with better overall control, which was shown in his goal that Rin tried to copy and failed. But also accuracy, where if it wasn't for Arya's insane reach, he would have completely destroyed Gagamaru with an insane accurate shot to the top corner. It honestly makes me wonder what kind of eagle eye does Sai have to grant him this accuracy for both shooting and passing, but I digress. Next, let's talk about his ocular ability. Much like Isagi deducted, Sai has metavision, which he uses to the fullest to place himself impeccably to receive and then forward passes to the strikers. Sai's positioning was a step ahead of everyone's in the U20 game. He was able to sneak up on many players, take loose balls, and be in the most optimal position for both attack and defense. But more impressively, through metavision, Sai is always monitoring the field. This enables him to move with no interval, giving the defenders no time to breathe at all, and we have seen how even speedsters get thrown off by this badly. Now, Sai's positioning that is born out of his metavision, and him playing with no intervals, don't tell the full story of why he dominates the midfield this good. In fact, the last weapon might as well be his deadliest when it comes to one-on-one duels, which is his dribbling ability. Being the first player to introduce reactive dribbling, Sai really took the Blue Lockers on a ride on separate occasions throughout the game, but completely destroyed them after the third goal that was forced by Baro. Sai went on a rampage, slicing through the whole team, even when being cornered, and with his metavision he already calculated the outs and the beautiful destruction before getting pressed. Hell, even Rin realized he can't stop him, and so he targeted Shido. Well, this was before Berserker Rin, who actually stopped Sai's dribbling with a sequence of repeated unorthodox presses. But also even Rin admitted that he only was able to do so because he knew his brother so well. The fact of the matter remains, Sai has shown us one of the deadliest dribbling ability in the U20 category, with probably Bachira post-Levinho training being the only player that can catch up. And even in the pros, I think only Luna and Levi are better dribblers than him, which, if I haven't made this clear in my Chigiri assessment, rivaling the pros in any aspect is probably one of the best feats a U20 player can pull off. And this takes Sai to extreme heights among the prodigies in the U20 category. But can he beat Kaiser? The German Emperor, Michael Kaiser, the new Gen 11 striker and the Blue Rose of the U20 category. A very cocky and edgy character with a feeling of self-worth like none other, to the point of believing everyone should kneel before him. But also Kaiser presents one of the biggest egos that is not only active on the pitch like Rin and Isagi, but much like Baro, Kaiser's ego engulfs his whole existence, both outside and within the field. Furthermore, Kaiser is a very perceptive player who can more than often accurately assess other players, as well as his own abilities and limitations, which would later lead us to talk about his biggest weakness. But for now, let's start with his stats. And while for Kaiser's physicality, it's interesting. While having an average raw power and strength, as Kaiser is skinny dude, and his jumping being not that impressive as well. However, his endurance is where we start to see him dominate. Kaiser can keep up a high performance all game, while utilizing some of the most energy costly abilities with no issues or showing any sign of fatigue. But more impressively, Kaiser boasts an insane speed with numbers higher than even Yuki, and falls behind only to Kuruna, Zantetsu, and obviously Chigiri. However, the way Kaiser utilizes his speed is certainly very impressive, you could say very professional-like. And well, since his speed and the way he uses it overlaps with one of his abilities, let's take this chance to start talking about his weapons. Picking up straight from his speed, the first ability we are going to talk about is his off-the-ball movements. I'm going to go ahead and say this. When it comes to offense, Kaiser has the best positioning and off-the-ball movements in the U20 category so far, with only 2 players on the consideration list. Isagi post Metavision and Shido, and even though these two are demons when it comes to this, Kaiser with his speed takes it a step above. In the FC Barca game, Isagi said while commenting on Kaiser's off-the-ball movements, he never wasted a single moment. Kaiser was constantly positioning himself in the most open spaces, but also with his speed he was able to throw off many defenders and free himself up very easily. This is such a phenomenal feat for a striker as it mitigates the need for dribbling, and was really what took Isagi to the next level after copying this from Kaiser. Speaking of Isagi copying Kaiser, while his speed plays a huge role in Kaiser's off-the-ball movements, the next ability that Isagi labeled the Big Bang piece is what enables him to put his whole playing style together. I'm talking about metavision. Much like Sai, Kaiser has the most broken ocular ability in BLUELOCK, and again much like Sai, he uses it to perfectly position himself on the field, in positions that would grant him an edge and allow him to score easily, as well as make his off-the-ball movements very calculated, which makes him a very tricky player to deal with, as one of his signature traits is his ability to force goals, even in the worst of situations. and this is in part due to his world-class off-the-ball plays. However, here another weapon presents itself, the other half to the equation of why Kaiser can force goals, his other ocular ability, the Predator Eyes. Now, I've made it clear throughout my videos that Predator Eyes are the only weapon that could rival Metavision, as having either of these types of vision and a soccer IQ high enough to fully utilize them is enough to take a player to the highest of ranks. However, having both Metavision and Predator Eyes is just broken and world-class worthy on its own. And even though Kaiser can't use both types of Predator Eyes like Borrow, as the goalkeeper hunting ability conflicts with Metavision, however, the fact of the matter remains Kaiser has Metavision and Predator Eyes. This makes him one of the most effective strikers that we have seen so far, to the point where Isigi said that he fully embodies the ideal of the BLUELOCK program. Kaiser doesn't waste any move and always position himself perfectly. And then when he gets the ball, he can hunt for a goal course only he can see, a golden formula that works from anywhere on the field. We have seen with Chigiri how even though his golden zone was tight, just by having a golden formula, he became a very deadly striker. But with Kaiser, he makes sure that his formula is always live when he's in range. However, this golden formula wouldn't be complete without his last and honestly most impressive weapon, the Kaiser Impact. In the FC Barca game, we got introduced to this broken shot. However, while other players were amazed by the shot itself, Isigi realized all of those off-the-ball movements, that perfect positioning, and him aiming in the middle of a press were all finished off by an amazing shot. A perfect striker with weapons honed on scoring and dominating. This shooting ability from Kaiser is the best in the U20 category. The Kaiser Impact is a shot that cannot be replicated by any other player, as it is born mostly from his genetics. But also, Kaiser trained like hell to refine it and make it the broken weapon that it is. And funny enough, what makes it special is simple. The Kaiser Impact has the fastest shooting swing in the world. Yes, not just the U20 category. Even among the pros, he reigns supreme in this regard. Having even Noah admits this, which is an insane of a feat for Kaiser honestly, and works as the perfect weapon that wraps Kaiser's set of awesome abilities to make him the best U20 striker we have seen thus far. But can he beat Sai? The best U20 midfielder versus the best U20 striker, the Battle of Giants. Usually these matchups favor the strikers. Even with the FIFA's Ballon d'Or, strikers tend to have better rankings, as it is easy to evaluate them due to them scoring amazing goals. However, I'm going to go about it fair and square to really determine who is the overall better player. Starting up straight with a stat comparison, in which I have to say it's a tough one. On one side, Sai has better raw power, strength and jumping ability, while Kaiser on the other hand has better speed. And even though Sai gets the upper hand here and is the more well-rounded player, I have to say the way Kaiser utilizes his speed fits perfectly with his playing style and play a huge role in completing the striker that he is. And we can't take much from Kaiser because of this, which is interesting. But next, let's run a quick contest of who can stop who. So since Kaiser is striker, can Sai really stop him? Well, the quick answer is no. In the U20 game, he was able to use his Metavision to take the fastest route to the most optimal position to stop either Carasso or Isigi. But with Kaiser's off-the-ball movements and with his own Metavision, it will be near impossible to sneak up on him. And even if he somehow does it and press him either like he did with Isigi, which won't work since he has the Kaiser Impact, or cut his course like Isigi did with Borrow, which would again won't work against Kaiser because of his Predator Eyes. As we have seen, Metavision can't stop the goal course hunting ability. Once Borrow awakened it, he took both Kaiser and Isigi on a ride, even with their Metavisions. And in Kaiser's case, it's even worse for Sai, as he had Predator Eyes for years now. I seriously don't see a way for Sai to stop Kaiser in any shape or form. Alright, but what about Kaiser stopping Sai, either at playmaking or in a 1v1 situation? Well, for one-on-one, we really have not seen a great dueling ability from Kaiser. He lost miserably to Lorenzo in this regard, both on defense and on offense, which would be even worse here, as Sai has better dribbling than that of the Italian Don, and Kaiser would have zero chance. But since Sai is a playmaker like we've seen him in the U20 game, I believe Kaiser can understand his plays, keep up with them, and even stop Sai's passes from reaching the strikers at times. For someone who kept up with Isigi and Noah and then slightly understood Snuffy's plays, I don't see this out of the realm of possibilities for Kaiser. And here, he has a legit chance of stopping Sai. And with this, I would say Kaiser would have better time dealing with Sai than the other way around. But since we are evaluating who is the overall player, let's move on to answering that. In the U20 game, Sai basically was carrying his team. Even though Shido's performance was insane, I believe it would have worked with any great striker. Just imagine Sai and Baro, Sai and Rin, and hey, Sai and Isagi. Basically what I am saying is that Sai was the driving force behind that performance from Shido. And even still, Sai also can play as a striker, with that good of a shooting ability and an insane positioning. If needs be, Sai can reliably score goals, taking his stocks even higher. However, this leads us to talk about his weakness. As I explained earlier, Sai was set on becoming the best striker in the world. However, due to his specs and his playing style, his journey to Spain turned into what we can only assume hell, shattering his ego in the process and making him want to be the best midfielder. And while we don't know what happened exactly, this plays a huge role in determining who is the overall better player, as having an ego that can be shattered is a serious weakness, something Kaiser does not share. Kaiser is an egoist like none other, a player who rebelled even against his own powerlessness and worked tirelessly to be the striker that he is. However, Kaiser isn't without his own weakness, which we will explore after we look at his playing style as a whole. First of all, much like Sai, Kaiser is the full package when it comes to his position, with weapons and stats that work together perfectly and with a scary shot to wrap things up nicely. However, versatility-wise, Kaiser is very lacking. His matchup with Don Lorenzo really exposed this weakness. Once his plays were shut off by the Don, he lacked versatility to shake him off and relied on Isagi to score, something that would not work on Sai, even with Lorenzo pressing him due to his playing style being spread out and him being dominant in so many aspects. He can shake him off one way or another, and while it will not be easy, it is possible. In addition to that, Kaiser has a very weird weakness as well, especially for a guy on his caliber, and I went about it in great detail in this video if you want to check it out. But as explained by Prince, Kaiser acts very highly towards those below him. However, he avoids confrontations with those above him. This was confirmed by him running away from dethroning Noah, and then him relying too much on Ness and Isagi, and running away from facing Lorenzo head-on. However, after his backstory and his loss to Isagi, he showed the will to change and maybe get rid of this weakness. But that's neither here or there, and we have no confirmation about this, so we're not going to take it into consideration. With this, I would say, even though Kaiser is more threatening and harder to deal with, Sai's versatility and his ability to morph his playing style and evolve it depending on the situation, coupled with his great stats and his amazing set of skills, would grant him the W here and is the overall better player right now. And guys, this was really hard to put together. I looked everywhere and did all the research I could. So I really hope you enjoyed it. But with that being said, until next time, thank you for watching.